p.m. The event will be live on KBC Channel 1 TV, YouTube, and Facebook pages. Coronavirus disease is now spreading within counties in Kenya, from person to person through contact with droplets when an infected person speaks, coughs or sneezes, or through touching contaminated surfaces and objects. Anybody with a weakened body immunity has a greater risk of contracting coronavirus disease. People living with pre-existing medical conditions such as HIV, cancer, TB, diabetes among others must adhere to their treatment to strengthen immunity and therefore should ensure they have a constant supply of necessary medicines. Contact your clinic or health facility for information on how to access treatment. Help others within your network to access adequate supply of essential medicines. Ensure that you remain connected with your local networks for any support and follow the medical guidelines provided by your health facility to prevent coronavirus. Remember to stay updated with information on coronavirus using only trusted reliable channels. For more information on COVID-19, call 719 or dial *719#. COVID-19 is preventable. Protect yourself, your family, and the community. This message has been brought to you by the Government of Kenya and its partners.
It's Sunday, the 30th of May, 2021, the end of the Menstrual Hygiene Awareness Week. And on Family Matters tonight, we tell you all you need to know about the cyclical female bleeding. And one of our guests tonight is a 13-year-old female, or let's say menstruation hygiene champion. It will be interesting to learn about what women go through during this time. Do interact with us at Purity_Museo and at KBC Channel 1 News. The hashtag is Family Matters KBC. Let's have a look at more stories making headlines tonight. President's busy lakeside schedule. President Kenyatta inspects development projects in Siaya and Kisumu as the region records a development boom.
Anything else you hear saying anything else other than that we shall be here on Tuesday. Tuesday is tomorrow but one. That will only be rumor mongering.
Jomo Kenyatta International Stadium to host this year's Madaraka Day Celebrations, and not the Kisumu State Lodge as claimed by some quarters. The 10 p.m. 5 a.m. nationwide curfew extended for another 60 days. Many thanks for joining us. A very warm welcome to this broadcast. I'm Purity Museo. Byron Abuli is our sign language interpreter tonight. Let's get started. And the government has now confirmed that this year's Madaraka Day celebrations will be held at the Jomo Kenyatta International Stadium in Kisumu as planned. Interior Principal Secretary Karanja Kebicho, however, says only 3,000 guests will be allowed in the 20,000 capacity stadium to ensure social distancing, the confirmation putting to rest the uncertainty surrounding the venue of the celebrations, which many claimed would be the Kisumu State Lodge due to the upsurge of COVID-19 cases in the lakeside town.
It is now officially confirmed that this year's Madaraka Day celebrations will be held at the newly built Jomo Kenyatta International Stadium in Kisumu. Guests invited to this year's Madaraka Day celebrations to be held at the Kenyatta International Stadium on Tuesday are expected to be seated by 8:30 a.m. According to the Interior Principal Secretary Karanja Kibicho, the venue of the event remains as planned.
There is no time there was any other consideration, and we have walked this journey with you since we started these preparations. So anything else you hear, saying anything else other than that we shall be here on Tuesday. Tuesday is tomorrow but one. That will only be rumor mongering.
Speaking at the venue, the PS further said guests to the stadium will be opened as early as 4 a.m. so as to accord security and health officials ample time to conduct screening in line with the COVID-19 protocols.
We have COVID around, and we have been advised by the Ministry of Health that we keep sufficient social distancing here, and when that happens, only 3,000 people can fit in this stadium. So we'll give them time to have sat down by 8:30.
Speaking at the same venue, Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Rachel Omamo confirmed that President Evariste Ndayishimiye of Burundi will grace the event as the chief guest.
We will be privileged to receive a head of state from the region, the President of Burundi, who will arrive on Monday and will join us as the chief guest for the Madaraka Day celebrations. During his stay here, we will hold bilateral meetings with our colleagues from Burundi. In fact, some of these meetings are already in hand.
The Interior Principal Secretary has in the meantime asked Kenyans to follow the live proceedings of the event in their homes through television, radio and other virtual channels. Ruth Wamboi for Channel 1 Weekend.
To the daily COVID-19 infections, Kenya on Saturday received 72,000 doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine from South Sudan. The vaccines, which arrived at the JKIA at 5:15 p.m. on Saturday aboard a Kenya Airways flight KQ352, were received by the Ministry of Health officials and delivered to the National Vaccine Depot in Kitengela. Kenya's COVID-19 positivity rate dropped to 4.7%. Sunday after 162 people tested positive for the disease from 3,452 samples tested. Kenya's second round of vaccinations got a major boost with the arrival of 72,000 doses of the AstraZeneca Covishield vaccines from South Sudan. The doses were in 7 packages, each weighing about 318 kilos, stored between 2 to 8 degrees and have a shelf life of up to July 17th. The 72,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine is part of the COVAX vaccine dose sharing strategy, which has countries with logistical challenges, hesitancy and lack of infrastructure give back vaccines to the mechanism and later have the vaccines redistributed to other countries with adequate capacity to administer them before they expire. Kenya on Friday kicked off its second round of vaccination exercise, with health workers expected to be the first beneficiaries. Kenya's COVID-19 cases rose to 170,647 on Sunday, with 3,157 deaths and 116,776 recoveries. 162 people have tested positive for the disease in the last 24 hours from 3,452 samples tested, pushing the positivity rate to 4.7%. 16 people succumbed to the disease while 643 others recovered from the disease. Staying with the pandemic report, the government has extended the night to dawn curfew between 10 o'clock at night and 4 o'clock in the morning for a period of 60 days. Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i in a Gazette notice noted the serious threat posed by national security and public order by the spread of COVID-19 pandemic as the reason for the extension. The public order also bans public gatherings, processions and movement either alone or as a group during the period, unless permitted by writing by authorities. Essential service workers, who include medical workers, security officers, cargo transporters, and the media, are exempted from the directive, which is effective from the 28th of May this year. Now, messages of condolences continue to pour in following the death of former Assistant Minister and Member of Parliament Richard Kalembe Ndile, who died early Sunday morning at Nairobi Hospital. President Uhuru Kenyatta led Kenyans in condoling with the family, friends, and relatives of the late Ndile, eulogizing him as a witty, determined, and practical politician whose rise in life was as a result of sheer hard work. The former Kibwezi MP, who served as Assistant Minister for Tourism and Wildlife under the Mwai Kibaki regime, is said to have succumbed to liver-related complications at the age of 57.
Immediately, reports of the death of former Kibwezi Member of Parliament Richard Kalembe Ndile broke on Sunday morning. His family, relatives, and friends converged at the Lee Funeral Home to receive his body. Led by Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, the leaders drawn from Ukambani region condoled with the late Ndile's family.
Na mimi niliongea na Mheshimiwa Kalembe juzi na hata jana asubuhi, na kusema kweli sikujua kwamba angetuacha haraka namna hii.
Ndile died on Sunday morning at the Nairobi hospital at the age of 57.
No, Kalembe has been jovial, and we have not had any history of him, suffering from any illness. He has been good, and we are shocked.
An attempt to do an biopsy on him, they could not save him.
It wasn't COVID, this is for sure, but it's something to do with the bile, and so we will wait to get the actual results. Kwa nini alituacha ghafla namna hii?
In a message of condolence to the family, friends, and relatives of the late Kibwezi Member of Parliament, President Uhuru Kenyatta described Kalembe as a witty, determined, and practical politician whose rise in life was a result of sheer hard work. The head of state recalled his interactions with the politician over the years, saying the late Kalembe excelled as a fighter for human rights, especially the right to access land. Sentiments echoed by Deputy President William Ruto, who mourned Kalembe as a person devoted to serving the people of Kibwezi and a master of equal justice, who set an incredible example of service. Orange Democratic Movement Party leader Raila Odinga eulogized the former Kibwezi Member of Parliament as a charismatic leader with exceptional grassroots mobilization skills, who also cared deeply for the underprivileged. Born in Western Uganda in 1964, where he allegedly got his name from the Kalembe mines, Kalembe was elected Kibwezi Member of Parliament in 2003 before being appointed Assistant Minister for Tourism and Wildlife between 2006 and 2007. He was also the founder and leader of Independent Party TIP, which he later dissolved.
Wanasemanga wewe ni mtu wa mkono katika hii serikali. Kalembe nataka kuwa mtu wa mguu, kukimbia tu. Ukiniambia nikimbia mahali tutakimbia ama namna gani?
Mtoto wa squatter, as he liked to refer to himself, will be remembered for his oratory skills and witty conversations.
Ndio tujikombe. Kuna wengine walikuwa wanasema hapana, hatutaki uhuru, maana yake hatujatoshea. Mama yangu siku hiyo aliniambia, nilikuwa tumboni, nikiona mzungu nilikuwa nafinya yeye kwa tumbo kabisa, nataka kupiga mzungu. Kwa hivyo hata mimi nilipigania uhuru.
He is survived by 10 children, including 6 who he had adopted. Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
And may his soul rest in eternal peace. Let's now Get some politics. Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, has welcomed the proposal to have the constitutional review done through Parliament. Muturi, who was recently installed as Mount Kenya region spokesperson, is however cautioning the proponents that time is limited, and sentiments shared by Garissa Town Member of Parliament Aden Duale.
The debate on reviewing the constitution continues to dominate political platforms, even as the Court of Appeal is set to determine a petition on the legality of the Constitution Amendment Bill 2020, championed by the Building Bridges Initiative. National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi welcomed the proposal by Amani National Congress leader Musalia Mudavadi to have the Constitution review done through Parliament. Muturi, who spoke after attending church service at St. Paul's ACK Cathedral in Embu Town, said once the Constitution Amendment Bill is approved by the Speaker, it would require 90 days after publication to allow members of the public to look at the proposed amendments. Muturi is of the opinion that majority of the proposals can be achieved through Parliament.
Maoni hayo ni maoni kwangu mimi si mabaya. We must welcome all suggestions from right-thinking sources. Mimi naona sio mambo baya. Wakiniuliza nitawasaidia vile inawezekana.
Muturi's call was echoed at a fundraising event in Garissa Town, where area Member of Parliament Aden Duale noted there is little time for a referendum.
Kwa sababu katiba ya Kenya inakubali mabadiliko ya katiba kwa njia mbili, kupitia bunge na kupitia kwa wananchi. Tuchukue BBI, zile ambaye zinaweza kupitishwa kupitia bunge tupitishe. Ile ambaye inangojea referendum tuangojee uamuzi wa kotini.
Meanwhile, the People's Empowerment Party leader Moses Kuria says the party will start mass registration of members after the Kiambaa constituency by-election on July 15th. PEP will not be fielding candidates in Kiambaa and Mogoga ward by-elections, but will support UDA's candidates.
PEP kutoka sasa kwenda mbele itasimamisha wagombea viti katika uchaguzi wowote, uwe by-election ama uwe uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka ujao. Na vile tumeachwa na mwenzetu ambaye alikuwa rafiki wangu wa karibu, mheshimiwa huko Kiagu, huko Meru, na hapo ndio tunaanza, na hiyo tutaongea na wananchi wa huko.
Elsewhere, former Funyula Member of Parliament Paul Otuama has cautioned Busia Governor Sospita Ojamong to stop engaging in 2022 politics and instead focus on service delivery to the people of the county.
Yule governor ambaye yuko sasa, yeye si mpinzani wetu. Yeye tumempa miaka yake 10, yeye anaenda nyumbani. Ile yeye anataka, kwa mimi, kwa maoni yangu, ningemweleza kwamba sasa wewe tembea ukiambia watu umewafanyia nini. Hii mambo ya kusema ati unataka kila mtu ile iko kwa ofisi abaki kwa ofisi, hiyo haiwezekani. Hii wananchi wenyewe ndio wataamua.
Otuama intends to vie for Busia governorship seat in next year's general election. Kevin Washira, Channel 1 News.
Back to our top story, President Uhuru Kenyatta has expressed confidence of a successful conclusion of the Building Bridges Initiative-led constitutional review process. The head of state said, together with former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, they had assembled a strong team that will ensure the decision made by the High Court to halt the process is overturned. President Kenyatta was speaking in Siaya County as he began his 3-day visit to parts of Nyanza region that will culminate in the Madaraka Day celebrations in Kisumu County. Achola Simon reports.
President Uhuru Kenyatta began his 3-day working tour of Luo Nyanza region by commissioning several multi-billion projects.
As everybody is talking about politics, you are concentrating on bringing development to the people. And we have seen the roads that are being done, the water, and this is a great contribution to the future of this country.
The head of state launched the 1.4 billion shillings Kodiaga Wagai Akala Road before commissioning a multi-billion shillings water project at Yala Swamp in Siaya County that will see over 200,000 households enjoy piped water.
Tumekuja vile ndugu yangu amewaelezea, tumekuja hapa Yala kwa sababu ya mradi huu wa maji. Mradi huu unalenga kupatia watu laki ngapi? 200,000 watu wa Siaya. Kwa sababu ya huu mradi watakuwa wanakunywa maji safi kwa boma zao na hakuna kwenda mtoni tena. Na tumesema ya kwamba hatutamalizia hapo, ndio tuhakikishe ya kwamba wananchi wa Siaya County wote wamepata maji ya kutosha. Huu mradi tutapanua mpaka tuhakikishe sio game peke yake, lakini Siaya mzima wananchi wawe na maji safi.
This road is going to make it easier for the people from this other side to travel all the way from Kutumbu and Kodiaga through Wagai into Akala Market and then to the Vatican City of Bondo.
President Kenyatta, who was accompanied by former Prime Minister and Water, Sanitation and Irrigation Cabinet Secretary Cecil Kariuki, and a host of leaders, reiterated his commitment to the Building Bridges initiative process, expressing confidence of a triumph in court.
Ni ya kuleta haki kwa kila Mkenya. Na ndipo nawauliza kwa heshima kubwa, jameni, mkubali mjitokeze muiunge mkono. Yale ambayo yako mbele yetu tutatatua, mimi najua. Tukiwa na mawakili kama Urengo tunaweza kushindwa kweli? Tutaweza? Tutaweza ama hatutaweza? Tutaweza ama hatutaweza?
The president called on the locals to support the process once the appeal in court is successful. He noted already the fruits of peace cultivated by BBI were there for all to see, and he will continue to support it to ensure Kenyans enjoy development at all levels.
Na kazi hiyo imewezekana kwa sababu tunasimama pamoja. Na kutoka wakati ambapo tulisema ya kwamba tutaunganisha Wakenya, ndugu yangu wamesimama kidete, tumesaidiana na tutaendelea kusaidiana. Hata tukiangalia siku za usoni tutakuwa tukiangalia pamoja, na ndio Wakenya wawe kitu kimoja. Mwataka hivyo ama mwataka namna?
Meanwhile, there was a scare after the plane that had carried Raila to Siaya crash landed at Kudo Primary School in Game as it tried to create space for more choppers to land at the grounds. There were no fatalities, with the pilot and 4 other people on board suffering minor injuries. Achola Simon, reporting for Channel 1 News from Kisumu County.
And KBC will be airing the President's tour in Nyanza region live, including the Madaraka Day Celebrations in Kisumu County on Tuesday, so keep it here. In the northeastern region, a section of leaders from Wajir, Mandera and Garissa counties is now calling for leadership, integrity, good governance and accountability as the basis for development in the region. Speaking during a fundraiser for Mandera North constituency madrasas held in a city hotel, the leaders led by Eldas Member of Parliament Aidan Kenan challenged the county bosses to guard devolution that promises to transform the regional development-wise.
It was an event that brought together a section of leaders from Wajir, Mandera and Garissa counties to raise funds for all madrasas in Mandera North constituency. It's here that calls of good governance reverberated among the leaders.
Those of us who also wanted devolution, and you can see the benefits devolution has brought. That must be guarded jealously. It's not something that just comes easily like that. You know, now governors, waheshimiwa MCS, we must all be responsible and ensure that our people benefit from devolution. If we don't, then we'll be unfair to ourselves, we'll be judged harshly, and it will not be good for our region.
The leaders lauding devolution, which they said was the key to development in the marginalized counties.
I think it's something that we should all be very proud of, because if the resources that the national government allocates is properly used, why not change? Mandera can become Dubai, Wajir can become Dubai, Garissa can become Dubai, Tana River can be. That is the essence of devolution. If that is not realized, then we'll have failed.
So ile kitu mzuri umetuambia pia nataka itakuwa inatendeka Wajir na Garissa na tuko na nyinyi pamoja. Mko na hafla, we are ready to also come and be with you throughout.
Mandera County Governor Captain Ali Roba, who was the chief guest in the event, challenged students to choose rewarding courses that easily create job opportunities.
Tunataka wanafunzi wetu waangalie ni wapi nafasi za kazi zipo na waweze kusoma masomo kulingana na mahali nafasi hizo ziko. Kwa mfano, tuko na uhaba engineering, architecture, agriculture, livestock, teaching.
Meanwhile, the leaders called for a ceasefire and truce between Israel and Palestine.
And I call upon international communities to solve this matter and make it an international concern.
Elsewhere, a section of clergy from Migori County is urging President Uhuru Kenyatta to address the high cost of living. Speaking under the Migori chapter of National Council of Churches Kenya NCCK, the clergy want the president to lower taxes and reduce high fuel prices to curtail inflation. More of this in our county news roundup.
Led by Canon Joshua Bullo, the clergy raised concern over the high cost of living occasioned by increase of fuel prices in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic. They further called for transparency and accountability in management of COVID-19 response funds.
County Coordinating Committee is deeply concerned about the continuing suffering the people due to constant rise of prices of basic commodities. This is happening at a time when the incomes of the people have been depleted by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Elsewhere, the Malindi business community wants the county government to speed up the multi-million drainage system project to prevent flooding in the town. Speaking during the Malindi cleanup exercise organized by the Progressive Welfare Association of Malindi, former Malindi Municipality Board Chairman alias Ga Kasamji questioned the whereabouts of 84 million shillings, which was released by the World Bank through the Kenya Urban Support Program 2 years ago.
The drainage program under the World Bank support system under the Kenya Urban Support Program was meant to be done in 2019-2020. However, we're in 2021, but there were delays which arose due to the corona. However, it is our belief that we can work around that. I mean, technology is there, things are there, the documents are there. It's just the works have to start.
Meanwhile, members of the Toriki Trading Company in Kiambu have called on government to rescue them from what they term as illegal sale of their property by section of directors. The company's chairman, David Jorogi Ngorimu, say most of the transactions have been made behind his back and only came to know about it after some of the property changed hands.
Mashamba yetu imeanza kuuzwa, ni wengine wachakuwa seeking kwa kiti ya Toriki Trading Company. Sasa mameanza kuuza samba ya Nyanyukie, tena makasoya makauza tena ingine ya Ereli, na sasa mametangaza ati matauza hata Gatadha Siasi na Safaricom Siasi.
Still in Kiambu, it was the proverbial 40 days for a young man who was caught red-handed breaking cars at a parking yard in Kiambu town. It's believed that the thief was behind the numerous incidents of breaking of parked cars in the town and has in many occasions captured by CCTVs in the town. The suspect was rescued by police on patrol after members of the public threatened to lynch him.
Ametoka kwa gari yangu, amechomoka, ameteremka huko chini. Anajulikana ni mwizi sugu. Hata wenye wamemshika wanamjua, hata walikuwa wanamumezea mate sana, hata wamfanyia vitu zingine. But amejulikana na amezoea hapa Kiambu kuiba.
In Samburu County, hundreds of youth have benefited from a computer training program facilitated by Computer for Schools Kenya, Huawei and local leaders. The program intends to help the youth acquire skills that can enable them work online free of charge. Beneficiaries of the program say they will use their skills for the economic uplift.
Samburu County is one of the counties that has gotten the highest registrations or the highest number of students who are willing to take this program. And well, we have cut it short for, it's just been 1 month, but I am more confident that we will continue talking to our partners, that's Huawei Kenya and Computer for Schools Kenya.
Finally, the Ministry of Environment, in partnership with the Madaraka County government, is leading a tree planting campaign in the county in an effort to address the impact of climate change in the arid county. Principal Secretary in the Department of Cooperatives Alino Israel challenged locals against deforestation, saying tree planting was the only solution to the unending harsh climatic conditions in the region.
Nchi yetu zamani ilikuwa na forest cover nyingi sana, lakini katika miaka mingi ya kukatwa miti forest cover imepungua sana. Kwa hivyo katiba sasa imeweka kiwango ambapo tunatakiwa kuzidisha ama kupeleka forest cover yetu 10%.
At the same time, Equity Bank, in conjunction with the national government, has planted more than 1.8 million trees in the last year, with the bank's managing director Polycarp Igede saying the nationwide cause was aimed at environmental conservation.
Upanzi wa miti ni jambo la muhimu sana kwa sababu miti is the lungs of Kenya, na tumeshirikiana nanyi during hii planting season. Kwa mradi huu tutapanda miti 300,000.
Patricia Waithera for Channel 1 News.
Time for our first break right here on Channel 1 Weekend. Do stay with us. We still have plenty more to come. I'll also be going through your feedback at the tail end of this broadcast, so keep tweeting. We are live on all our social media platforms at Purity_Museo and at KBC Channel 1 News. On the show, we talk about menstrual hygiene campaign and, of course, all you need to know about menstruation and what women go through and why the stakeholders are calling for ending the menstruation shame. Do stay with us. Tuned for that conversation as well. Let's take that break.
Je, umeomoka? Kama hujaomoka kwenye QuickBid ndio mambo yote. Hapa tuko na fridge, kodi yake ni CM. Tuko na gas cooker, kodi yake ni CK. Tuko na TV, kodi yake ni TV. Tuko na simu aina ya Samsung ni SM, ama Oppo ni Oppo. My friend, mahali popote unanitizama, eka hizo kodi zake kisha utume kwa 4032353. 4032353, alafu utakuwa unaomoka na hizi bidhaa. Kumbuka, kwenye QuickBid ni bidhaa bora zaidi kwa bei ya chini kwa chini.
Did you know life is uncertain? Do not leave anything to chance. Protect the financial needs of your family in case you die or lose income due to terminal or critical illness. Take up a life insurance policy today to protect the financial future of your loved ones. Now you know. IRA, promoting insurance, protecting the insured.
Kupata skiza tune hii, sala ya imani na matumaini, dial *811 *815 #.
Sala ya imani. Mungu wangu na sadiki maneno yote linalosadiki na linalofundisha kanisa Katoliki la Roma, kwani ndiwe uliofundisha hayo, wala haudanganyiki wala haudanganyi. Amina. Sala ya matumaini.
Ili kupata skiza tune hiyo ya sala ya imani na matumaini, dial *811 *815 *811 *815 #.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Let's continue with our broadcast. And for decades, fishing activities have dominantly been a men's affair, but with the changing times occasioned by the hard economic times and high demand of fish, women in Mombasa County have ventured into this daredevil source of livelihood, which calls for resilient courage and determination. Our reporter Juni Karisa stepped into the murky waters alongside a new crop of fisherwomen who literally have to brace the tides of stereotypes labeled against them about the practice. Take a look.
Did you know that a large chunk of the fish consumed in Mombasa County has been imported from China, Japan, Korea, Somalia, and Djibouti? How come, you may ask? Didn't our fishermen meet such production levels? The beckoning question set me out on an expedition. And it is here at the Ngare Beach Management Unit that I struck gold. It's several minutes past 6 o'clock in the morning. It's quite chilly, but we are out on an expedition to venture into the murky waters to ascertain whether women can actually fish. Meet Mlongo Rashid, a fisherwoman at Ngare, who is part of the larger group of fisher folk across the 16 beach management units in Mombasa. I was curious to see whether she had actually mastered the skill that has been dominated by men. Lo and behold, I was taken aback when 3 other women joined her in her morning prep routine. Armed to the teeth, the mother of 5 boarded her dugout canoe and sailed out into the Dongo Kundu Creek. After casting her nets, I was eager to know how she joined the profession.
Kitambo tulikuwa tunavua wanaume peke yake, lakini ikafikia wakati kuna mama ambaye alikuwa analeta mzozo kidogo na bwana wake kuhusiana na kipato chao. Bwana alikuwa anapeleka kipato kidogo, bibi akawa hamuamini.
Wanaassume kwamba hawa mabwana zao wana mipango ya kando. Wakawa na lazima hawa kwamba waje wajue kunaendelea nini huku baharini.
Kafikia wakati watoto waenda kifukuzwa, nikimwambia mzee wangu vipi shule? Hakuna samaki, hakuna ndugu yangu la kamba saa hii. Kaambia hapana. Basi tukabishana hivyo hivyo tamwishoni, nikamwambia sasa hivi ambao umefikia na mimi pia nataka nifundishwe hali ya uvuvi. Asema utaanzaje kivipi? Maana kikwetu mwanamke haruhusiwi kuingia baharini.
Her relentless knack to understand the male-dominated practice prompted her husband to ask his colleagues whether she could join the BMU.
Tukajadili mimi pamoja na wazee wangu hapa bandarini, tukamruhusu na akaanza kufundishwa kuogelea kwanza.
Nikaoga paka nikamwambia mzee wangu, mimi sasa hii naona kuoga nimetakata na sasa hii mimi nataka uvuvi.
After tireless swimming and fishing classes, she remained adamant to venture into the ocean alone.
Mara kwanza unaona nimevua 1.5 kg. Alafu nikaenda tena mara pili. Kwa vile nimekatwa, nikamwambia leo sitaingia. Asema wewe umesema utakovuvi na twende. Ikabidi sasa tuende tena. Nilivyoenda tena tukavua. Nikamwambia mzee wangu, mbona hivi kipato chetu chaona chaendelea? Wewe ukipata kidogo na mimi hivi ambavyo nimepata tuchanganya. So na kipato chetu kiongezeka.
It has since been 2 years into the profession. Her bravery and zeal has since been emulated by other women. Asha Charo, Mlongo student, had to seek the consent of her husband before her training began, a humble beginning that reverberates with the tales of 3 other fisherwomen.
Tukawa tumekaa wanawake tukahojiana ili tusijaribu kuwekwa nyuma pia sisi, na tukawa tumekubaliana tuifanye hii kazi na sisi pia tujiendeleze kimaisha.
The 5 are determined to rewrite history that women can actually flourish in a men's club.
Bwanangu wakati huo ananifundisha, ameambiwa ni mwanamke. Nikamwambia aidhuru, kwa kuitwa mwanamke sio mwanamke. Wewe jili nipe elimu na kipato chetu pia kizidi, ili na sisi pia tukionekana tujue wanawake wanaweza na tunaweza.
Mzee akipata shilingi 200, mimi na mimi nikipata 200, nyumba inakuwa vizuri. Ndio huwa tunawaambia tusijiweke nyuma wanawake.
After 2 hours of nesting, they didn't manage to get any catch. Ndio hali ya uvuvi, as they say. Tomorrow may be a better day. The hurdles that these women endure are not peculiar to the rest of the fishermen across the county.
Hapo kitambo ilikuwa kwa siku mtu anaweza toka, kama ni samaki wako kisawasawa anaweza toka na kilo 40. Hizi prawns mtu anaweza toka hata na kilo 100, lakini saa hii kwa ile high season mtu anaweza toka na kilo 5-3. Ambapo hicho ni kipato cha chini sana.
During the high northern monsoon season that runs from September to April, popularly known as the Kaskazi, the county is projected to harvest 140,000 kilograms of fish, while during the low season that runs from April to October, popularly known as Kusi, the fishermen's harvest is projected 95,000 kilograms. According to the Joho-led administration, these numbers cannot meet even a quarter of the consumer demand in the country.
The production is not as per our targets. We have to address the issue of productivity first before even we talk about raising the numbers to an extent where they can even export, value add and export. What the department has done is to partner with other stakeholders, and right now we have about 4 running programs. The KEMSFED program is funded by the World Bank through the Ministry of Agriculture. We have another project called the Go Blue project. This project is under the Jumuiya ya County za Pwani, and this project is looking at capacity building the women and the youth in the county.
The fishermen claim the recent dredging at the port and the construction of the Dongo Kundu bypass has scared fish from their breeding sites into the exclusive economic zone, a territory they hesitate to comb owing to the insufficient fish gears and modern boats.
KPA was able to compensate the fishermen in 2020. What we are following right now is with the Kenya National Highways Authority, KENHA, on the Dongo Kundu, and also there's a bridge there they want to construct here at Makupa, so it's going to affect a lot of our BMUs.
Once the fish leave the water, it is up to the fishmonger's creativity to ensure that they reap the most from one's daily catch. A fishmonger like Mercy here, who I'm about to meet, has made value from her package by ensuring that she meets her clientele's needs. We arrive at the home-turned-production house of Mercy Maganga, a fisherwoman who also doubles up as a fishmonger. For the past 8 years, she has become one of the leading fish vendors and exporters of fish, maximizing her profits in the hospitality industry as well as the retail sector.
Yule investor ananunua 150, anakuja anapeleka Nairobi, anauza tuna 800 per kilo. Hebu fikiria mvuvi na trader, nani amepata pesa nyingi zaidi?
Her decision to invest in the value addition equipment has propelled her clientele's niche, forcing her to rely on imports from neighboring counties.
Sisi Mombasa tuko na high demand na tuko na nafasi kubwa ambapo tunajua kwamba tunaweza nunua samaki kutoka kaunti nyingine ili tukauze na tukapata pesa. Kwa hivyo hasi lazima mtu avue.
The lucrative business has seen her employ and empower hundreds of women venturing into the practice that she is optimistic will be a game changer for the region if investment is pumped into the blue economy sector.
Ndoto yangu ni kwamba nihakikishe mvuvi anapata resources za kutoka kule baharini za kutosha. Then wanapopata wavuvi ndio mimi nami nitapata ili nami nijiendeleze.
Despite the recent gains made in the blue economy sector, the willingness of the county to hit productivity targets seems far-fetched.
Watoto wanategemea wewe baba uliokenda baharini, sawa, uje na chochote, kama mkate, unga, nao wawe sawa. Lakini je, ikiwa umekosa kabisa, si balaa hiyo?
Tungeweza kutoa demand kubwa kama tungepata uwezo wa kwenda kuvua deep sea, lakini hatujawahi kuwezeshwa kwenda kuvua nje. Lakini tukiwapata uwezo huo na pia skill ile ya kujua ile uvuvi tunaokwenda vua kule.
We are sure in the next financial year, that is 2021-2022, things are going to roll, and this project is going to change the lives of the fishermen.
Juni Karisa Mbele for Channel 1 News from Mombasa County.
The Board of Trustees of Telposta Pension Scheme and Fund advises all members that the 2020-2021 AGM shall be held virtually on Monday 31st May 2021 from 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. The event will be live on KBC Channel 1 TV, YouTube and Facebook pages.
Banki imeconfirm pesa zimeingia. Congratulations Sam, gari ni lako sasa.
Shukran. Oi boss, uniache insurance yako nitumie kabla nijipange.
We!
insurance ya gari haiwezi kuwa transferred kwa mtu mwingine.
Sina habari na nikuulize, hii comprehensive insurance inakava vitu gani?
Comprehensive motor insurance inakava gari linapoharibika wakati wa ajali pamoja na uharibifu wa mali ya mtu mwingine, gari likiibiwa au likichomeka. Pia inakava passenger wa gari lako na passenger wa lile gari lingine kunapotokea ajali.
Kwani umenisahau mimi kama driver?
Dereva hakui covered na comprehensive insurance, ila anajitafutia personal accident cover.
Umenichanua. Rose, hata nishughulikie hiyo insurance, nitakujia gari kesho.
Okay, sawa.
Yeah.
Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na IRA. IRA, bima bora kwa taifa.
Glad you're watching Channel 1 Weekend. It's now time for the sport. Benson Kipruto won the battle at the team's Prague Marathon in 2 hours, 10 minutes and 15 seconds. Kipruto's win steered Team Birel to the overall title in a race that required athletes to focus more on teamwork rather than just a pace.
Scores throughout this year's Prague Marathon, dubbed the Battle of the Teams, featured 32 elite athletes clustered into 4 teams comprising 4 men and 4 women each. The best performing team was to be crowned the overall winner of the event, while individual winners were feted at a separate podium ceremony. The men's race was won by Benson Kipruto in a time of 2 hours 10 minutes 15 seconds. Dixon Chuma took second place in 2 hours 10 minutes 25 seconds, with Norbert Keegan third in 2 hours 10 minutes 26 seconds.
Who has worked it to perfection. Benson Kipruto wins the Battle of the Teams individual marathon of 2021. Superb from him. Stretched away over the final 2 kilometres. Second place there, Norbert Keegan, I think.
Dixon Chumba second, Norbert Keegan third. Kipruto's win steered Tim Birel with the overall title after bagging 7,152 points ahead of Team Volkswagen, accumulated 6,787 points, while Team Matoni had 6,845 points for third, with Team Group CEZ on 6,673 points for fourth. The women's race was won by Purity Rionoripo, who took charge of the second half of the race, eventually winning it in 2 hours 20 minutes 14 seconds of personal best.
Executed marathon race by Purity Rionoripo of Kenya. She wins the women's Prague Marathon of 2021. It is a personal best.
Ethiopia's Shone Gutenik took second place in 2 hours 21 minutes 46 seconds, while Kenya's Valerie Ayabe held the podium places in 2 hours 22 minutes 39 seconds. For Channel 1 Sports, I am Dan.
Right, and there will be no room for errors on matters safety at the WRC Safari Rally, which is returning to Kenya for nearly 2 decades with more than 1,600 safety officers fully trained to handle all incidents that might occur. Firefighters and medical officers were today going through the drill again should an incident occur requiring their services, and will be going through more trainings every week until the event begins on the 24th of June.
It will be a tough assignment, but it has to be done. Safety at the WRC Safari Rally is non-negotiable, and the WRC safety team is closing all loopholes to ensure total and complete safety.
The rally cars built these days are built very solid. We don't have really bad accidents, but in the eventuality, we are prepared for the eventuality that a vehicle is crushed so bad that the driver navigator cannot be removed safely. We have the tools to make the space available for the medical team to now safely extricate the drivers and the co-drivers.
An FIA-approved safety book outlining all measures to be taken in any kind of incident has been released, and a clear station for all safety officers mentioned.
Part of risk assessment is looking at those challenges and mitigating. So yes, we have looked at the challenges that we may go through, this being one of them, and our mitigation is to make sure that we increase our capacity in terms of response to matters that require rescue.
Firefighters and medical staff were today going through the drills, among them getting competitors out of rolled vehicles and seeking for alternatives for stuck vehicles should the weather conditions favor the rains.
We don't station ourselves according to our free will. We run by the safety plan, which has been delivered by the Chief Safety Officer. This has been strategically checked over and over again, and they have come up with the relevant points where different resources are required to be stationed.
More than 1,600 safety officers, including policemen, medical staff, firefighters and rescue officers, will be at the rally to be held from the 24th to 27th of June this year. The WRC Safari Rally will be televised live on KBC Channel 1.
The Kenya Triathlon Federation is committed to having a team represent the country at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, with the African qualifiers set for next week in Egypt. Kenya has never had a triathlon representation at the Olympics, and the Kenyan team of 17 is hoping to make their debut despite the threat posed by South Africa, Mauritius, Morocco and Egypt at the qualifier. Team Kenya is currently camping at Turtle Bay Resort in Watamu, Kilifi County, awaiting their departure for Cairo on Tuesday next week.
Watamu gives us almost the same environment that the athletes will be participating in, the coastal city, and of course the coastal line and the ocean gives them a very good avenue to train in swimming. We have a total of 15 athletes, 2 of them are para-athletes, one male and one female, and they will all be participating at the championship. Triathlon has always been, of course, a big challenge for us in terms of participation at Olympic Games, but we are hopeful that we shall be there with the support, with the training. One time we will be there at the Olympic Games, and we will compete with the best and the rest of the world. Yes, and the reason for this is that we have a blended team. We have young and older athletes. We have more athletes actually participating. As I said earlier, it's the first time we're having an Olympic Games qualifier in triathlon. So we are hoping that these athletes will get that exposure to compete at that top level.
Elsewhere, AFC Leopards registered their 4th loss of the season in the Football Kenya Federation FKF League after losing 3-1 to Bidco United today. Bidco opened the scoring in the 7th minute through Alex Juma before adding a second through Peter Nzuki in the 42nd minute. Meanwhile, league leaders Tusker FC hammered Vihiga United 4-0 courtesy of goals from Henry Major, Kevin Okoth, Crispinas Onyango and Rogers Aloro. Tusker remains on the top spot with 38 points from 18 league matches, while AFC Leopards is on the 3rd position with 36 points. Thika Queens maintained their unbeaten run in the Football Kenya Federation FKF Women Premier League after beating Kayole Starlets 3-0 in a round 12 match that was played today at Steamer Grounds in Nairobi. Thika remains on top of the league with 33 points after 11 league matches. Catherine Githai opened the scoring for Thika in the 67th minute before Mwana Halima Adam made it 2-0 in the 72nd minute. 9 matches to stoppage time, Thika Queens added a 3rd goal in another match. Gospel Women beat Mathare United Ladies 5-1.
Inaenda kuisha poa, then hizo sisi tumefocus tu na hizo playoff because unapata timu za hizi zinakuja, but so far venye sisi tumetop hapo, so far sisi tuna lead 2. Nataka tu kumaliza unbeaten, then to raise up tuende playoff ipate tuko set.
Tumehold Thika, ukiangalia venye tulikuwa tunacheza but problem kubwa imekuja time hizo chance tumepata, tumepoteza chances zetu. Then second half imekuja hapo kapata chance, wametumia chance zao vizuri na that's why wakakuwa washindi wa game ya leo.
And Kai Havertz's lone goal helped Chelsea win the UEFA Champions League for the second time with a well-deserved victory over Manchester City last night in Porto. Chelsea coach Thomas Tuchel got the better of his Manchester City counterpart Pep Guardiola for the third time since succeeding sacked Frank Lampard in January to bring European club football's biggest prize back to Stamford Bridge for the first time since 2012.
Lacked purity on his strike.
Chelsea had the better opportunities throughout. Timo Werner wasting 2 good chances. Kai Havertz blossoming after a slow start to his Chelsea career got the winner 3 minutes before halftime when he collected a defense-splitting pass from Mason Mount to rout City goalkeeper Anderson and score.
He's played in Kai Havertz, who is around Ederson, and Havertz scores for Chelsea. It's a royal blue moment for the would-be Royals of Europe from London town. For a German coach, a German striker.
City, who lost Kevin De Bruyne to injury midway through the second half, threw on Sergio Aguero for his final appearance, but there was no fairy tale ending for the club's greatest goal scorer as Chelsea closed out the win.
Doesn't want it at the moment.
It was elation for Tuchel after the disappointment of losing last season's final as manager of Paris Saint-Germain.
Emotional. I could have never imagined as a young coach that I can touch this cup. Now we played 2 finals and today we won it. Very grateful.
I honestly cannot breathe because my director is a Chelsea fan and to know how they have been making noise. Okay, that report brings us to the end of Channel 1 Weekend, but of course not the end because Family Matters is on tonight. And thank you so much for staying with us. Geoffrey Musawa tuned in from Valley Road. Thank you. Carol Chuma tuned in from Machakos Town and Joshua watching from Kisii. Then we also had some of your feedback on Twitter. Bob Owino tuned in from Kisumu. Thank you. At Edwi Nata, you're saying you're also watching, and Anthony Ali tuned in as well. Thank you so much. At Kiprono tuned in to Channel 1 Weekend. And then Mo says, you're saying you're also watching from Mtwapa. Thank you so much. I do appreciate tonight on the show. We simply talk matters menstrual hygiene, what women have to go through, and everything you need to know about menstrual hygiene. I have a fantastic team of experts tonight, but not forgetting a very young menstrual hygiene champion, an adolescent actually. Her name is Fantasia Hayesi, and you will enjoy the conversation. So let's take a commercial break and then Family Matters is coming up next. Stay with us.
The greatest rally in the world is back in Kenya. Catch all the action of WRC Safari Rally live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1 from 24th to 27th June. See the world's best drivers navigate their machines on Kenya's rough terrain at breakneck speeds. Experience the thrills, adrenaline, drama and excitement as man and machine do battle. Don't miss out. WRC Safari Rally, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Purity Museo, and the World Menstrual Hygiene Day was marked this Friday, the 28th of May 2021, and this day is marked to just emphasize on the importance of menstrual hygiene. And of course, menstruation is something that occurs in let me say most of the women for most years of their lives, and starting from the early teen age to middle and old age, and this is part or accepted as part of life. But while we talk about being part of life, then why do we always have conversations revolving around ending menstrual stigma and also menstrual taboos and all those things that make women and girls especially miss schools? Here in Kenya, the celebrations had calls that menstruation should be normalized and girls should be given an opportunity to go back to school by being provided by some of these menstrual hygienic products. To understand this topic, in studio tonight is Jenna Nyango, Director Polycom, and Fantasia Hayesi, who is an adolescent girl and we'll be talking about this, understanding menstruation and what women have to go through and whether we should be having these conversations at home. Welcome to the program. It's good to have you, Jen. It's good to have you, Fantasia. I love your name.
Thank you so much. Okay,
so Fantasia, let me actually begin with you. When we are almost celebrating the Menstrual Hygiene Day, because it's an annual event, as a Kenyan girl, what comes into your mind in terms of the struggles that you have to go through as a teen, and of course you're going through menstruation? What are some of the things that come into your mind and you say, as Fantasia, I wish and hoped this would change for us to enjoy this journey as women?
Okay, for me, as she said, I'm Fantasia from St. Juliet. For me, I think we need to provide girls with pads. That's the main issue in Kibra. Pads is the first main issue. You can find a girl menstruating and she is shy to come and tell me because I am an ambassador for Polycom in school. So you can find a girl is so scared to come and tell me that she is menstruating. So like that thing, she thinks that I'm going to expose her. So she is so afraid that she will to come and consult me. So instead, she goes to one of her friends. So like friends, and tell them. The friend can come and tell me, and then I go to the teacher. So we have a teacher called Teacher Chris. He mainly deals with Polycom. So he can give me the pad. I go give the girl and tell the girl that's part of life. For me, it's part of life, and it's need for a girl to show that she is really mature. She needs to get through that menstruation cycle.
And before you got the education that, you know what, it's okay, and before you became an ambassador, did you experience some of these challenges that girls experience that, I'm shying away from, from telling even my parents? When you began the journey, were you so open with your parents or even your guardians, your family members? How was the experience for you?
For me, when I started menstruating, I was not so open with my mom. So instead of going to my mom or my sister, I went to a neighbor. I went to my neighbor, her name is Karen, and she helped me. She told me how to use a menstrual pad. So she took me to the toilet. She showed me how you put it on your panties, and then I wear it and I feel comfortable. So when my mom came from work, I was afraid of telling her what was going on. So my neighbor came and told my mom that, you know what, Fantasia has started to be a big girl. I say, oh, Fantasia, why didn't you tell me? I was like,
And you'll tell us what this is all about. But Jen, thank you for being here. I was speaking with her because I need to understand where the problem is. When we talk about menstrual hygiene, these conversations, do we start them? Should they start at home, or how do we ensure that we achieve this?
It should start as early as possible with the girls, because we know how sensitive our bodies are. So if they know early, even before they start their menstruation, that they're supposed to take good care of themselves during that time, then it's very, very important. So it's a conversation that should start with the girl as early as possible, so that she's psychologically prepared and she's not scared. And you know, people, they make so many mistakes because they are scared. So it's good for them to know it as early as possible.
And this is now the parent who is supposed to take this responsibility, because most of us went through what she had to go through. Like, you've begun your menses and thinking about telling your mom, it's a no.
Mothers should learn to read that writing on the wall. You know, they should see that my girl is growing. They went through the same process, so they should start the conversation. And mothers should also know that, like, you know, the time to communicate with the girl and also to read their mood, so that the girl is able to feel as free as possible. Otherwise, when they wait until it comes and then you're starting the conversation and you don't know the things they've had out there, then it's a bit stigmatizing. It's a bit stressful for the girls.
And why is menstrual hygiene maybe very important? Let's talk about the need to ensure that our girls are, you know, hygienic during this time, and what are the dangers of the opposite happening to a girl or going through.
So what happens is that if a girl is not very clean during that time, then definitely she's going to smell. And the stigma around that can just be something that they can never forget. So it's very good for a girl to know that, you know, during this time I have to make sure that I shower, I'm able to change my pads as early as possible, so that I don't mess myself up. We've been having conversations this week, and what was coming out again is that girls are even shy to go to the toilet when they're having their menses. So yet when they're having a running stomach, then they'll run there as much as possible and nobody cares. So these are conversations that should start with the girls as early as possible, so that this stigma is not there. The mother should read. The mother should know that my girl is growing, and we should have this conversation, so that even before they have their menses, they know that this is something I should expect and I should not be worried.
Fantasia, why was it a big deal for you to tell your mom that, you know, what this is what I'm going through, and it was so easy for you to tell a neighbor? What was happening?
Like, I was afraid of my mom. I was saying that if I tell my mom, what will happen? So when I went to the house, I found my neighbor there. My neighbor was charging her phone. I found her there, and I said, you know what, I've started my menstruation. I didn't even bother to tell my sister. I only told the neighbor, because she was so close to me. So I told her what was going on. As I said, she helped me. And then I found her telling my sister about my situation. I just went.
You felt bad. You felt betrayed. First, how did you know? Because you didn't want to talk about it with your mom, and definitely you had not had that conversation. Where did you learn that girls at some age have to go through this?
Before I started menstruating, my mom was also educating me. She could call me and tell me, Fantasia, sit here. And then she starts to explain to me. Even Polycom comes to school, and they call all girls, and they start to educate them, tell them that if you're starting menstruating, don't worry, this is part of life, this is normal. So for me, it wasn't that a big deal, but
Okay. So gender menstruation can be a big deal for girls, especially when they are starting. Maybe we can talk about some of the struggles they go through, because, you know, when you're starting the journey, there are a lot of questions, there are a lot of concerns you're raising, and some of them go unanswered. Maybe we can talk about what are some of these things that girls face when they are starting their menstruation, and what kind of help do they require at this particular time.
I know the experience is different with different people, but what the challenges that the girls go through, especially if they are not told about it, is just the worry. You know, what do I do? Where do I go? Why should people know? And at some point, people also don't want to grow up. You know, like, I don't want it to come. But now it's something that there's nothing you can do about. So that is the reason why at Polycom we work more with their bigger sisters, the younger women, so they are closer to them. At least they look at them and they're like, have you started your menses yet? They even ask the bigger girls whether they've started their menses yet. And now with that, they can relate. You know, they're able to talk about it. They're able to talk about everything. And they also come from the same background, you know, like the same environment. We have, in Kibera, most of the houses are very small in our informal settlements. Most houses are very, very small. So when they have their bigger sisters who went through the same process within the same environment, then they listen more, and the experiences are almost the same. That is why when we're doing our mentorship, we have something we call the I stories. The I stories is we collect stories from the bigger girls. And then when they are talking to the girls, when they have this assembly that they conduct with these younger girls, they are able to talk about their own personal stories. And with that, the girls are able to feel a little free.
And in most cases, menstruation is referred to as something unclean, embarrassing. Is it due to lack of, because that's not the case. It's part of our life, you know. So is it due to lack of awareness, or why is it so?
Purity, we are all products of menstruation. I don't know where this came from. I don't know when they started talking about women being unclean. And I think in Africa, we adapted it so much and have used it to really stigmatize the women. So the menstruation is a very simple biological process. And we should all learn. Making it too private makes it, just increases the stigma. We should all accept that menstruation is there for a girl to be complete. At some age, if you haven't started menstruating, then you are very, 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 very worried, you know? So for us to kill this stigma, then we must talk about it as openly as possible. Africans, let's accept that for a woman to be complete, a woman must menstruate. And for anybody to become pregnant, for a life to come into this world, menstruation must take place. So it can never be dirty. It's a beautiful biological process that must happen.
Okay, because this was the case. Fantasia, when was your first experience? Were you in school? Where were you? Did you get any stain? And did you feel embarrassed? Because most girls feel embarrassed because that's what has been made, probably what has been going on with other girls. So when you get your menses, you feel embarrassed and clean. So what happened? When did this happen?
I started my menses when I was at home.
Okay.
Yeah, we had already closed schools, so I was at home. That day, I remember when I walked up, I felt somehow weird. So I decided to go to the bathroom. When I went there, what I saw, my nurse dress was all bloody. So I was I didn't want to get out of the bathroom. So I just stayed there like, what should I do? And then I went to the house. Gladly, Polycom had already taught us how to wear a pad. So I went, I took a basin, I went and showered, I weared my pad, and then that's when I told my neighbor.
So what was going through your mind? You know, did you have so much knowledge? I know there was education and awareness going on there, but were you scared? What was going through your mind that now I've started this journey? You know,
I was scared, so scared. So I even said to myself, no friend is going to know about this. No friend is going to know about this. Even when Polycom came and asked, who has started menstruating? Oh, my hands were down. I haven't. So for me, it was like, I'm a big girl now.
And you were scared of it?
Yeah, I was scared of it, but now I'm okay.
You're fine.
I'm proud of myself.
Okay. And this is something that happens with every girl, that now you've started your menses and I'm a big girl, and you're actually so scared that so the responsibilities and I'm no longer, there are things that need to change, the things that you used to hear other people do or campaign against. So do we still need to be talking to our girls during this time, and maybe what are the dangers of leaving girls on their own when they start your menses? At this time, do girls need more care than they had before they had reached this level or stage of their life?
They do.
Yeah.
In fact, we've had girls complaining about different products, menstrual hygiene products. So it's very important to have these conversations with them, because if we don't have these conversations with them, then it means that even if they are suffering, they're not going to talk. So many people, when they have problems, especially the young girls, when they have problems around their private parts, they really talk. Because what are people going to say? People are going to think that they had sex. You know, people don't want to talk about it completely.
Yeah.
And that is why it's very important for us to have this conversation as openly as possible. Because if we don't have these conversations, then it means that the girl is going to suffer for the rest of her life. For how long are they going to suffer before they come out and talk about it? We have women still suffering from the things that they were exposed to during their adolescence. So it's very important to tell girls to come out and talk. It's very important to normalize this conversation. It's very important for girls to understand that once you've become a big girl, then anytime you go to the hospital, then the doctor is going to ask you when you had your last menses. In fact, we've had girls worried and very unhappy about doctors asking them about when they had their last period. So they're like, now what does he want? In fact, some of them think it's sexual harassment. So it's very important for us to have all these conversations with the girls so that they understand that it's very, very normal. It's very healthy for anybody to ask you about that, because you're a big girl and you should be proud of your menses. It makes you complete.
Okay, let's talk about the hygiene, the menstrual hygiene. Maybe you can share with us a few tips on to just ensure that we achieve the menstrual hygiene, and of course we don't, because unhygienic habits also come a long way to even getting girls have these kind of infections that are associated with menstruation and unhygienic experience. So maybe you can give us a few tips on how girls can ensure they stay clean during this period.
Yeah, so first the girls must make sure that when they're changing or they're touching their pads, then their hands are very clean, And that is why personally I advocate for hand washing before and after you visit the toilet. Because when you're going to touch your pad, when you're going to touch your panty, then your hands should be as clean as possible. And then the pad also, they should make sure that the pad is well protected. And that is why many pad making companies make sure that it's well sealed, and it's only the owner who is going to open it up. And then the panty should also be clean and dry. Clean and dry. Even if they have as few panties as possible, then they must make sure that the panties are dry. Because if the panties are not dry, then they're going to have fungal infections. And these are the things that people don't want to talk about. And if they're having any infection, any infection, you know, girls always get the fungal infections. They can get it from the things from the basins, just from anywhere, from surfaces and things like that. So they must make sure that they go for treatment. Because if they don't go for treatment and they have any infection down there and then they have the pad, then the infection is going to be to worsen, and then it becomes more complicated. So we must make sure that we are as clean as possible. And then also the toilets. We must make sure that the toilets are clean. At times it's beyond our disposal. It's like we are not able to control the cleanliness of the toilet. But when they go in there, they must make sure that as far as she's concerned, then she doesn't just touch surfaces. If she's going to change her pad, or if she's going to touch any of her private parts. And it's always very healthy for a girl to have a tissue paper. The tissue paper should always be there. And now that is why the wiping is there. Because if you have the tissue paper, and nowadays I'm so happy that we've all realized that the white tissue paper is what we need. So with the white tissue paper, they are even able to know that, you know, my menses are just about to begin. And with that, they're able now to have their pads and their stuff very clean. We also talk to girls about just trying as much as possible to know their dates, so that they don't use very sensitive colored panties around that time. Because at times cleaning these pants to be as clean as possible becomes a challenge. And when the panty is not very clean, when they can't wash them clean, then they start hiding them. And when they start hiding them, they don't air them in very hygienic surfaces or maybe lines. So those are some of the things that expose them to a lot of that makes them uncomfortable.
So let me get to you, back to you, Fantasia. When you were beginning this conversation, you said girls lack pads, you know. So let's talk about the challenges that you've been able to see among girls, because you said you are an ambassador for other girls at the slums. Maybe you can tell us what are some of the major struggles for girls during this time, because the experience itself is not even pleasant, you know.
I'm going to answer that with a story. So one day I was at class with my friend. I saw my friend was uncomfortable. When I move closer to her, she moves. When I move closer to her, she moves. And I started telling her, what's wrong, what's wrong? She started crying. And I took her, I went with her to the toilet. So I asked her, now we are the two of us only, so what's going on? She told me that I have started my menses now. I don't have a pad. I'm afraid of talking to you. My cramps, I have severe cramps. So I went to the teacher. I took a pad. I nilimpelekea, then she wore it. And then I told the teacher that she has cramps. The teacher told me that I can take her home. I took her home. Her mother gave her pills, and then I left her. I went back to school. So that cramps, she was very, 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 very. It was painful. If you could have seen her, she was very pale. So even the teacher asked me, Fantasia, go talk to your girl.
So the issue of pad is of major concern, and I don't know what are some of the efforts. It's such a touching, you know, story to hear that, especially when you're in school, you don't even have a pad. How do we ensure that? Okay, it's just my own opinion. Do we ensure that girls have pads, whether they're not on menses, they haven't started or not, to just ensure that, you know, when you begin, then you're not in dilemma, because it's really a bad place to be.
Purity, we are trying, and I know we have so many civil society organizations that are trying as well, but it's not enough. And it's interesting that our government have acknowledged that this is a need, and their girls should be able to access pads within the schools. But they're not able to provide for the girls, you know. So it's really sad that, you know, she's worried about pads, and now we have the issue of the cramps, which is really is a big problem, and it's very common with girls nowadays. And that is why these conversations must be there, because having a girl lying at home and saying, you know, I'm just sick, and I know maybe she cannot even carry herself to the hospital. The cramps, yes, it's killing her. She's not able to concentrate in school. So we must have these conversations, and we must make sure that we are having platforms where we are talking to the girls and listening to them as much as giving them the pads. I know so many organizations are coming up right now and are giving pads to the girls, but just giving pads is not enough. We need the panties. We need the conversations, and we need also to help them to be able to monitor. We used to give our girls diaries, and those diaries would be very, very personal, where they would even monitor the color of their discharge, so that if they see anything negative, then they would talk to their bigger sisters, who are the mentors, and then the girls can take them to the hospitals. We are in partnership with a few hospitals in Kibera. We have Ushirika Clinic. We also have the CFK Clinic, where we can take the girls anytime, and then the bigger sisters are there to comfort them, to tell them that it's okay. It's okay. So that even the parents, if the parent doesn't have time, you know, at times parents are also very complicated. We have had a girl who was she was really suffering. She had her very serious issues. And anytime she talked to the parent, it was like, you know, hiyo ni kukua msichana. Hiyo ni kukua msichana. Even me, I was like that. Don't make a big deal out of it. And you don't know what the kid is going through. You know, so the conversation around the menstruation, the conversation around the pads, and even the cramps, we can't just run away from them, and we are talking about girls' welfare. You know, when we are talking about girls' education, when we are talking about SDG 5, then we must factor in education around menses. Clean or general menstrual health must be a conversation. And our doctors should also take it very seriously. It should not just be about when did you receive your last menses. Can it go further to be like, how is it? so that our girls are feeling more cared for.
Let me just stay with you. Let's talk about the menstrual hygiene products that are there and the ones that are really available. Let's talk about the cost effectiveness of these products. Yeah.
They are not very cheap. They are expensive. And a common girl, especially, first they can't afford them because the girls don't work. So if they must be afforded, then it's the parents to buy. If you look at life in the slums or life in most rural settlements, is that the parents don't even think about that. And if you listen to the girls, they'll always tell you that, you know what, I blame my mom for what I'm going through, because they know the process. They know the reason why we need this, but at times they budget for mender in the house, for the cockroach. You know, they buy Doom every month, but they don't buy for us sanitary towels. Yeah, so it's something that is really, it's very touchy. It's not affordable. We should get them for the girls, and we should have them in schools. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe what are some of the products that you are aware of? You know, which ones have you used?
There are pads. Yeah. So pads, and then there are menstrual cups. But as girls of schools, we are not advised to use menstrual cups. So most of the organizations tells us to use pads. For now, we should have to use pads, and there are tampons. Yeah, but I don't think if they are safe for us to use it. Yeah.
Okay, maybe you can address that.
I like the way Purity is enjoying her conversation with the young girl. Yeah, she is empowered.
I am enjoying, because these are the real issues. Yes. You may assume that they are comfortable because different people are comfortable. Like, I might be comfortable with tampons, another woman is comfortable with the pads. Like, it's and then for girls, they have been told you have to use the pads. How about for those who are reactive to them, you know?
Oh, yes, and that is why we tell the girls that you know your body. Yeah. You know yourself more than anybody else. Yeah. So speak up. If you can't use them completely, then let's talk about an alternative. But we have pads that are very safe. Yeah. Like us, we make our own pads, and we use everything that we are using is very, very safe. But we encourage the girls that once you sense anything, kindly come and tell us. We don't encourage the girls to use the tampons or the cups, and because first, our environments are not clean. So their hands are not that clean, so they can't be touching themselves like that. And then for them to also to be taken back, for them to be reused, they have to be cleaned. So in our normal latrine, you know, the pit toilets, especially in the slums, when do you wash your hands? When do you when do you sterilize them? When do you? It's just a little complicated. Yeah. So we encourage the girls to use the pads, make sure they dispose them very, very well, and let them also monitor the color of whatever is coming out of their body.
And there was a report that had been released that a number of girls miss up to 13 classes in one term only because of, you know, they have to stay at home when they are on menses, and the major reason for that is lack of pads. You know, so what can be done to address this, to keep girls in school? I know some of the pain sometimes may be unbearable, you know, so how do we ensure that girls stay in school? By one, ensuring that they access the products that they need, and also like trying to help them with the pain for those whose pain is extreme.
So in schools, teachers, let's internalize this. Yeah. Let's know that our kids are suffering. Let's talk to them very openly so that when they are suffering, then they're able to come out and talk. To the government, let's get pads for the children. And not just pads, even panties, because you can never use a pad without a panty. So let's not just go the pad way only. We need those very clean and dry panties for us to use our pads efficiently. So let's internalize this. Let's have these conversations with the girls. Let's tell the girls that, you know, you're not to blame if you're having cramps. It's your body. Just the way you can have your headache. If you're having headache, who is to blame? It just comes. You're not to blame. So let's tell the girls that it's very normal. Come out. That is the only time you can be helped. Let's all pick this as our issue. Adults, let's pick it as our issues. The doctors in hospitals, when they come in, when we are prescribing medicine for them, let us listen to what they have, the challenges that they're going through growing up, and help them.
Fantasia.
Yes.
Do you agree? How do you think girls can be helped so that we don't have to have another experience like your friend who had to go home because they didn't have pads? You know, how do we help girls and ensure they stay in school?
So, like Ma'am Jenna said, to ensure that every school has even one box of pad put it there, so that even if a girl has started menstruating in school, they can give the girl the pad to use it. So even pads, panties, like Ma'am Jenna said also, Polycom provides us with pads, panties, sometimes we're given soaps, face towels, so that you can be clean through your menstruation period. So pads and panties are the most important.
And as you continue, because you are still an adolescent, you're still young, maybe what are some of the fears that you have, you know, the struggles that you're going through, and maybe do you have any fears as a girl, a teen girl?
For me, like, I have one.
Yes.
I also, when I always menstruate, I have that thing telling me, what if you mess? What if you mess? So that thing is always disturbing me. Yeah. So even when I am menstruating, I can be normal, yes, but something can tell me, Fanti, go to the toilet, go to the toilet. So that's the main problem for me.
Especially when you're in a school and it's a mixed school.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Passing short as we wind up.
Yeah, Purity. I wish you told Fantastic that this is normal with every woman.
Yeah.
That everyone is always worried.
Like you always
during those days, everyone is alert, not one person.
So you are a woman. So.
It's part of our lives. Yeah. So what I can say is that let's all unite to make sure that our girls are safe and are menstruating in a dignified manner. As Polycom, we are able to give detergents to clean the toilets, just making sure that the toilets are clean. We are able to give the girls the pads, and we are able to give the girls the panties, and we have the talks that go along with them. But I know we don't even reach 1% of girls in this country. So what is somebody else doing? Let's all unite and just make sure that as we talk about them excelling in their education and lives, then we are giving them the ability to be able to excel and just to be happy.
Well said. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Fantastic. I enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much, Jen, for helping us with this discussion tonight. We do appreciate your presence here.
You're welcome.
Okay, and that's all the time we had for the show tonight. Thank you so much for keeping us company. I'm Purity Museo. Do have yourself a good night and enjoy the rest of our programming. God bless.
Vera Beauty College.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design in soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement, event planning, hairdressing, barbering and dreadlocks, beauty therapy, makeup, nail technology, spa massages, teaching skills, TOT, solo business management, and many more. Register now and visit our website on www.verabeautycollege.com. You can also call on 0725 923 550 Nairobi branch, 0728 087 689 Eldoret branch, 0722 22 7428 Thika branch, 0725 000 706 Meru branch. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a TVET approved institution.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, greetings, Massive and crew. Welcome to the Big Bad Show. This is The Rave,
where radio meets TV each and every Wednesday.
Live on KBC Channel 1 and KBC Radio Taifa. Yazimi?
This is where we play with the latest and the greatest, from homegrown artists to international reggae stars.
Check in the rave with Junior Dread and DJ Stano.
Every Wednesday from 10 p.m.
If you blink, you miss the link.
If you ain't going my way.
The greatest rally in the world is back in Kenya. Catch all the action of WRC Safari Rally live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1 from 24th to 27th June. See the world's best drivers navigate their machines on Kenya's rough terrain at breakneck speeds. Experience the thrills, adrenaline, drama and excitement as man and machine do battle. Don't miss out. WRC Safari Rally, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
The Board of Trustees of Telposta Pension Scheme and Fund advises all members that the 2020-2021 AGM shall be held virtually on Monday 31st May 2021 from 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. The event will be live on KBC Channel 1 TV, YouTube and Facebook pages.
Hata kuna herbal already we have spent more than 70k on herbal because tulikuwa na ng'ombe hapa juu zote tumeuza zote, hakuna badiliko, inaendelea tu hivi. Sasa mimi nimefika mwisho. Lakini saa hii ni ngumu yenyewe, ni ngumu. Kwanza hauna motivation ya kazi.
Huyu ni dada yangu, ameanza kukuwa mgonjwa mwisho ya Novemba. Hiyo ugonjwa yake alianza hapa amefura kidogo, tena naongeza, naendelea tu hivyo hivyo mpaka akakaa hivi. Na amesaenda kwa hospitali mpaka akalala huko, sijui mara ngapi, mpaka akarudi kama ni hivyo hivyo, hakuna change. Sasa ugonjwa bado nazidi.
Hujambo mtazamaji na karibu kwenye kipindi chetu cha leo. Jina langu ni Helen Mwangi na hapa ni Save a Life, mahali ambapo tunajitolea mhanga katika kuokoa na kubadilisha maisha. Leo hii tumerejea na hadithi nyingine kutoka kaunti ya Kisumu, eneo bunge la Nyando, ambapo tunapatana naye Lona Atieno. Mwaka uliopita Lona Atieno alikuwa na afya njema mpaka alipopata uvimbe mdogo kwenye uso wake. Uvimbe huu uliendelea mpaka ukaanza kuwa na uchungu, ndipo akaamua kwenda hospitalini ili aweze kupata matibabu. Lakini pale hospitalini alipatiwa tu dawa za kupunguza maumivu, na baadaye uchungu ukaendelea, na ndipo familia ikampa ushauri aende kwa daktari wa mitishamba. Pale alipotumia zile dawa za mitishamba, ugonjwa wake pia ukaendelea kuwa mbaya na hali ya uchungu pia ikazidi. Hivi sasa anatueleza kuwa pia alipata kwenda pale kwa mganga ndipo akaweze kupatiwa dawa, lakini matibabu hayakusaidia kwa lolote wala chochote. Kufikia sasa familia yake inatueleza kuwa iko katika hali ya kutosikilizana kutokana na ile hali ya wengine wanataka apelekwe kwa daktari wa mitishamba na wengine wanataka aende kwa daktari wa kisasa. Hawana chochote, kwani pesa zote wamezitumia pale hospitalini, wametumia kwa daktari wa mitishamba. Vitu zote ambazo walikuwa nazo kama ni ng'ombe, mali, wameuza zote na wamebakia bila chochote. Na kama tujuavyo mtazamaji, gunia tupu haliwezi kusimama pweke. Ndiposa sisi kama Save a Life tunajitolea ili tuweze kuchangisha tukapeleke mama huyu hospitalini, na hali yake kwa hakika ukiangalia ni hali ya kusikitisha, kwani yupo katika maumivu, hawezi kujifanyia lolote na anabakia tu kutegemea kila mtu. Nina imani kuwa mimi na wewe tutaweza katika kuokoa maisha haya. Wacha tukajitolee pale kwenye paybill namba ya kwetu ili tukaweze kumpeleka Atieno hospitalini na hali yake ya afya ikaweze kurejea katika hali ya kawaida.
Hello good people, this is Save a Life again, and today we are telling a story from Kisumu County, Nyando constituency. Now today I'm bringing you a very moving story, and we're going to tell a story of Mama Atieno. Na Atieno amekuwa mgonjwa from last year. Na ilianza last year when? November. So that means is less than a year. But imemaffect sana. And hii ugonjwa pia imekuja pia kidogo ikadivide pia familia, whereby wengine wana insist aende habo, which wamejaribu, wamemaliza pesa kwa habo. But from daktari alipeleka hospitali pale na akafanya mpaka biopsy, but haikuonyesha kitu yote. Tuko pale Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and Referral Hospital. So it's quite sad for this family, and I feel this man who has been the only man who is pushing this, and imekuwa tough sana kwake because ameachiwa mama. So ugonjwa ilianza aje?
Ugonjwa ilianza tu kama uvimbe kidogo tu, then ikaendelea tukampeleka, tulikuwa tunafikiria ni boil. Sasa alitumia antibiotics. After that tukatembea hadi tukaenda kwa private ingine hapo Simsa Ahero. Sasa kwa hiyo private vile alifika huko walifanya surgery, walipasua hiyo. Na vile ilipasuliwa wakatuambia tuende revisit. Wakati tulirudi revisit ilikuwa inaendelea tu kugrow. Sasa wakati tulirudi revisit ndio huyu mkubwa hapo akatuadvise tuende tuone surgeon Kisumu. Sasa wakati huo ilikuwa imegoma. hizi public hospitals, na tayari nilikuwa nimetumia pesa mingi kwa private. Sasa juu alikuwa na UHC, tulikuwa tunangoja private resume ndio anze tumpeleke. Sasa tukangoja wakati private public, wakati public wali resume tukampeleka Jaramogi. Hapo alitibiwa, akakaa hapo almost 3 weeks kwa ward, akafanyiwa operation, wakasema itarudi pole pole, wakatupea dawa. Hata madawa tumenunua mingi, receipt ndio sijui kama siko.
Naona receipt ni mingi. Umefanya
madawa tushanunua. Hata kuna herbals already we have spent more than 70k on herbal. Because tulikuwa na ng'ombe